behalf of my party here for demand of grants on the HRD Mantralaya. Sir, a lot has been said about the cuts and the minister did make an intervention. So I hope in her reply she will explain to us at length as how she's going to manage the economics of this department. Being a woman, it's always good. We know how to manage our money. With less money, we get done a lot. So I guess as the woman at the helm of the affairs, I'm very hopeful that she will find solutions for most of our financial situations which earlier members have already brought up. Sir, I won't take the time of the House regarding that, but there are a few very short points that I'll have to ask her to make some interventions on. First point, a lot of people and most of my colleagues have talked about the quality of education. Sir, education is one topic. I don't think it's UPA versus NDA. These are topics like malnutrition across board, whichever party is in power. We all agree that education has to be a top priority of any government, of every state, and it's the aspiration of today. Every parent today wants their child to have good quality education, and I think it's the right which our constitution has also given to them. Sir, but the biggest problem which I feel even as a parent sometimes is the exams. Most children today don't give exams and are pushed ahead all the way till the 8th standard. And there is a lot of debate about this in society because every time in my constituency, if I go to my school, any of the schools and ask them, should we take an exam or not, most parents and children say we want exams because the new assessment policy is not helping the cause. And that's why children go up to the 8th standard, and then after the 8th standard, most children are, sir, failing, especially in English and in mathematics. So what really is the thought of the ministry and what is the view of the ministry as how are we going to take this forward? Because exams could be one way of assessing and making sure that our children are doing a good job. And we have started an intervention in our district where the collector has really made a lot of effort, and he has taken universal reading and mathematics at one time in one day in all the schools, which has given us an idea of what really, where the intervention is required. And sir, to your surprise, even I was very surprised that the most advanced blocks have done badly in our education system, and the blocks which are away from highways, those have done much better in our school education system, especially the Jilla Parishad schools. So really, what is the plan for quality education? Because like Tathagat Sarpati did mention that he is having issues. Fortunately, the state where I come from, education is priority of any government whoever is in power. And we have given a lot of good schooling, things like cycling to encourage girls. So we have made a lot of interventions, but what we really lack, sir, is we have not been able to manage to incentivize and motivate the teacher who goes into the class. You've given 6-pay commission to teachers. We have given good infrastructure. There are books. Nobody can say now that, no, I'm sorry, there's no infrastructure available. So that is really not a easy. So, and only giving them more training is not going to help the cause, because most teachers feel that you come back from one training and you go, because every resource person in every training program is not necessarily highly qualified. And I'm sure in a magnitude of the kind of resource person people we need, I'm sure it's very hard from Kashmir to Kanyakumari to find good resource person in every district village. So this is something we really need to innovate in Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, that's motivating teachers to give us better results. So is exam from a early level is a solution or not is something she will have to put through all the experts in education and find the solution, sir. See, other lot has been said about IITs, which is all a concern to us. We all know what the numbers are. But sir, I would like to make one more intervention to her, because this government is constantly talking about more quality or equal quality education for girls, since the dropout rate of the girls is much higher. Government of Maharashtra had started a scheme for free education of girls, which many states are doing. But can we expand this? The Kasturba Gandhi scheme was launched 5 years ago, and it's one of the nicest ways of including children from Adivasis. But the problem of that scheme is that after the 8th standard, what happens? We bring in the girls from Jilla Parishad schools in the 5th, and after the 8th, they're absolutely left on their own. There are some schools which privately teach, but there is no access to higher education, higher schooling education to these Kasturba Gandhi. So I urge the Honorable Minister to expand this Kasturba Gandhi Girls Balika Vidyalaya scheme all the way to the 12th standard, because it's very unfair. These girls come from Adivasi areas. You bring them into modern India, and then, sir, in the 8th standard say, sorry, there's nothing more. So if you could urge that to the 12th standard and add a skill development quotient, which most of schools are doing privately, it will really be a great service and an opportunity for all these girls. So, yeah, sure.
Just for 10 seconds. Since she has raised the very important point about the Kasturba Gandhi Balika Vidyalayas, named after the Sahadharmini of the father of our nation. I really want to highlight for the Honorable Minister what the All-Party Standing Committee has said, that the overall enrollment percentage of the minorities and the BPL girls in the KGBVs is abysmally low. Further, even in Muslim concentration districts, the enrollment percentage of Muslim girls is very low. I think this is a problem that needs to be addressed at the level of the schools. Thank you.
Sir, another thing is early childhood education. What happens is all the Anganwadis are taking care of 0 to 3, which only talk about health and nutrition. Nobody is talking about education. And then from 3 to 6, the child is completely at a loose end because RTE only covers 6 to 14. So 3 to 6, there's a very nice intervention. One of our corporations in Maharashtra has done, the Navi Mumbai. They pay for the cost of 3. So if you could kindly ask corporations which have enough money to get this 3 to 6, even if your government doesn't have funding, but a lot of corporations do have this opening. So if they could add some value to this, because 3 to 6 is a very, very critical year. So if we could take eventually RTE from 0 to 14 or 14 to 16 to 18. So that really should be our ambitious plan to make this whole thing really work. Another thing RTE, sir, unfortunately has done is in right to education, you have stopped all schools for migrating children. We had 2 proposals in Maharashtra which were working, which was, one was for all these sugarcane growing, all these people who are migrants who travel from one district to the other for sugar cutting, and the others are brick or people who work in quarries. So none of these children get an opportunity. Nobody is driving them in a school bus to go to the local Jilla Parishad school, and because of RTE, a lot of these kind of schools, which were different methodologies to make inclusive education, are unfortunately no more there. So could the minister kindly intervene at this level, and what can we do? Because there is a data which he would validate if it is true, because I've got it off the net, sir, and in various articles, that there are 2 crore children who are migrant children who are out of our education system. So at one time they are very, very proud. These are all NGO numbers. That's why I said that you'll be able to throw more light on it. But they say these are these migrant children. So if they're enrolled in one school and they're really not going to school, sir, there is really a gap here. So I think I would definitely seek her help if that these, especially these schools which we have done for different methodologies, if that could be allowed to keep more flexibility. Because what rightly Sri Tathagat Satpathy in his speech rightly said, that our children into rote learning. We are not looking at different methodologies of learning. So having either exams or looking at other ways of training, and we all talk about autonomy. I think one of my colleagues, Sri Bose talked about autonomy of colleges. I think the autonomy is not about universities and people. The autonomy should be to the child. Let the child have the autonomy of his education, especially in higher education. So if that has more flexibility, this entire skill mission program which they are talking about, if we can connect it with autonomy of these children in education, like foreign countries do, I'm sure it will be a great service to the nation, sir. So just 2 or 3 points that if she could get this. And for some reason, sir, I would definitely like to highlight another program which this government is talking about, the digital classrooms. We have a very successful one even in Maharashtra, but it's only in pockets. It's very hard to get infrastructure, and sir, with no power available, it's a very ambitious program which looks wonderful on paper, but it's very, very difficult to implement it. So how are they going to look at these digital classrooms? There's constant innovation with technology going on. So technology has to be used for different methodologies in education, but we really need to look at this autonomy point of the student. So I would urge the Honorable Minister to study of all these various success stories and how we can have a holistic view, because unfortunately her department, like most of my colleagues, has been gone through a little bit of a stormy weather. So I think let's all clear on the air, because it's not about personal agendas. Education is a very, very serious subject. It's not about making a political score. And if there are some good success stories, we'll be glad to help the minister to look for solutions to build a good nation, an educated nation. Because I still remember Sri Pranab Mukherjee saying it on the floor of the House, sir, that we have a very robust, energetic youth in this country. If at all he's not challenged properly, taught properly and educated, it will be a sitting time bomb. So I urge the Honorable Minister to think of all these solutions, and we are more than happy to help her as long as we know the common agenda is to build a strong nation which is above caste, creed and languages. And one last point, and religion. And last point, sir, today the aspirations of English. Sir, whether we like it or not, today even a helper in all our homes wants to send his child to a school where he learns English, because they feel it gives you much better opportunity. We're very proud of our own mother tongues. So I would like to ask the Honorable Minister to make one more intervention, that in most of our ICDS programs, they are only in the local language. To give an example of Pune, which I represent, sir, in Pune there are Hindi schools, there are Gujarati schools, there are Urdu schools. So why can't in ICDS, when we do it, most of these children who don't understand the mother tongue have very great difficulty learning Marathi, because say a Urdu family speaking or a Gujarati kid comes into Marathi, they're completely lost in that Anganwadi. So is there a possibility to try out something different like this, where we could get various languages done like we have various, so maybe corporations could start it, because we in Pune are trying to do it. So if you could give us more flexibility in running this, it'll be much appreciated, sir. Thank you very much.
Kumari Susmita Dev.